Hey, you guys, y'all like to say y'all like to make money. So we got the BnB guy here, man. Yo, this guy right here, he knows exactly how to get you right in the BnB space. He even wrote a whole book about it, man. I'm telling you guys, you're absolutely gonna love it. His personality is A1. He's cool. He's dope. Go check him out on social medias. He's big on TikTok, as you can see. He's getting his Instagram up there. And again, he wrote a book about the BnB, so you don't gotta worry about how to do it. He got all the answers for y'all.
Welcome back to another episode of Important Miscellaneous Talks. I am your host, Glassfield Crossfield, and we are changing the world one podcast at a time. Our wonderful guest, please introduce yourself.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Bryce Garris. Current TikTok minor celebrity at the moment, all by way of rental arbitrage, Airbnb stuff. So happy to be on.
So, what made you get into the B&B business?
I had nothing else to do. I I had I jumped into the real estate world and found out how bad I was at actually like transacting real estate deals with third party people, and realized I was more of the risk taker, more of the investor side of things. And so once I found out about rental arbitrage and the amount of money it took to get started into it, to get the upside that it could bring you, I thought it was a no-brainer. So I jumped right into it.
So, after high school, what did you want to do with your life?
I actually wanted to be a writer and an actor. And I actually did that. I'm from Kentucky, and I moved out to Los Angeles when I was 19 years old, and worked on some movie sets and some TV shows, and then ended up going from there to I became a college basketball coach, and after that ended, got into real estate.
Wow, that's a lot. How old are you now?
27.
Wow, that's you had like 3, 4 careers in that time span. Wow.
I can do it all, baby.
I respect it. So, what do you think is the best way for someone to get into the B&B business?
Get into it. If you that's what it is. I think Gary Vee once had a really good quote about about the art of just doing things. And he's like, you can read about push-ups, you can learn about how to do the correct push-up all day long, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get better at push-ups unless you do a push-up. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So the people who are interested in it, who really want to get into it, the only way that you can get into it is if you get into it and take that take that leap of faith that I may not know everything, or I may even know everything, but I'm going to go figure it out along the way as well, because you're never going to know everything. There's always going to be a roadblock. There's always going to be an obstacle, and you're going to have to continuously pivot and make some changes. But at the end of the day, you just got to do it.
Okay, let's say hypothetically that I want to do it. Where would you direct them to go?
I'm writing a book right now. I can direct them to a book. You know what I'm saying? Anything. Google is a free resource that you can find anything in the world. YouTube is a free resource where you can find anything in the world. TikTok is a free resource where you can find anything in the world. On my TikTok channel, I'm not spewing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not holding anything back on my TikTok. Like, what I'm saying is what it really is. I think a lot of people have this I guess thought in their head that there's always something more to what is being said. And at least for that may be true. At least for my case, it's not. Like, I tell verbatim what to do, how to do it, and then it gets down to just doing it.
Yeah, a lot of people on TikTok, they kind of give you like half truths
Yeah.
where they tell some of the truth, but they don't let you know the kind of work you have to
Yeah,
put in.
because they're selling a course. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're selling a course. They don't want to give all their secrets away, because then why would you buy their course? I don't sell a course. I don't sell a mentorship. I do mentorships only when people, come out to me and they'll email me, but hey, like, can you be my mentor? I'm like, sure, why
Mm.
not? I don't actively market that as a thing that I provide people. But so yeah, it's one of those things.
Got you, got you. So, what are some of the biggest pros and cons of the industry?
Well, rental arbitrage, the biggest con is that you're not building wealth. When you own a property, you're getting that equity. So every little piece of um, every little piece of a reservation, every little piece of a booking is going directly towards building your wealth, as opposed to when it comes to rental arbitrage, you have to make a certain amount of money for it to make sense for you, or else you're not winning anything. At least if you break even when you own, you're at least building your equity. At least, you're not losing anything. With rental arbitrage, if your rent is $1,500 a month, and after everything, every month you made $1,600, you only had $1,600. You just cash flowed $100 for the amount of work every single month, that for the month that you just made. That doesn't make sense, right? So that's a big con. Another big con with rental arbitrage is that like your future is not in your hands. So I actually had a deal in Savannah, Georgia, die about 2 weeks ago because we came to an agreement. We got on the right terms. We were gonna pull the trigger and do the property and sign the contract. And then the day before we were going to sign the contract, they told me that they were selling the building and the new owner doesn't want to do it anymore.
Wow.
So it's things like that. And then that could very well be the case where maybe you have a property in a building where it's been successful for many, many years. And then the ownership changes and they just kick you out. You just lost a big source of income right there, possibly, that you weren't prepared for because your future is not in your hands. So those would probably be the biggest two cons, along with but the positive is that your initial investment to potentially cash flow something that is life-changing amount of money is less significant. You can, my first initial investment was $7,000, a little under $7,000, and then I haven't, I started cash flowing after 2 months. So that's a really big positive right there. And that's really the only positive, but that's the best positive you can have, but there's pros and cons to everything. There's pros and cons to ownership. The con to ownership is that you may be in to the property for $100,000 and you don't actually start cash flowing until 3 years later, 4 years later. I started cash flowing 2 months into my journey. You know what I'm saying? So that's whichever one you want to look at. It's all good. You get into Airbnb, for the cash flow, right? Because the cash flow could be really, really good. So if cash flow is your main objective and paying off your house is your main objective, it depends on what your objective is. If cash flow is your objective, rental arbitrage makes a lot of sense. If cash flow and paying off your house like that is your objective, ownership makes sense. There's no right or wrong answer to it. But rental arbitrage is definitely the way to go if you don't have a lot of money. Like I said, I had $9,000 in the bank at the time. I spent $7,000 of it. It's great. I wouldn't have been able to buy a house with $9,000 in the bank. I could get an apartment and do it. So rental arbitrage is an obtainable goal for anybody, not just the select few that can afford a house.
So if you don't mind me asking, about how much do you make on a monthly basis from
It varies.
Okay.
It varies. I haven't had a month because I have I'm anywhere between 3x to 4x what my rent rates are.
So, well, what range is that?
Say that again.
What range is that?
3,000 to 4,000 a door.
So what do you think is the biggest mistake that people do when going into this industry?
The biggest mistake, it's a good question. The biggest mistake that a lot of people I think make is that they think it's going to be easy. They just get a property, they throw it up on Airbnb, and then they start cash flowing like crazy, right? That's not the case. You got to put a little effort into it. You got to put a little work into it. If you design the place poorly or cheaply, it's gonna show. If you take bad pictures, it's gonna show, and people aren't gonna book your place. At the end of the day, when it comes to Airbnb, you're relying another facet of like your future not being in your hands. You're relying on other people to book your place, because if people aren't booking your place, you're not going to make money. And so if you don't do the right things, if you don't break down the numbers enough, if you don't put your place in a location where travel is in demand, if you don't do the right things, you're not going to make the money, and you're going to be losing $1,000, $1,500 every single month because of it.
If you could start over, what would be some of the adjustments that you make?
If I could start over, I would think, well, first I would have gotten an LLC. I know that. It took me a little bit longer to do that just because I was unsure of what I was doing at the time. The LLC is going to help out a lot because you can legally sign for multiple units at once. And then I would have opened up a business bank account. I would have stopped commingling my bank accounts with business and personal. And then the second thing, I would have had a whole lot more furniture on tap ready to go. So as soon as I signed the lease, I was ready to move in. It took me a whole month. It took me a whole month to get my first property up and running, which now it'll take me 2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks, if that. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm ready to go. And that's the key. I lost a whole month of profit. I lost a whole month of revenue because I took that whole month to get the place ready. I don't regret it because it's all working out for me now. So maybe if I did it differently or try to skimp out on a few things just in the name of getting it done quickly, maybe I wouldn't have the same results as I'm having now. But but yeah, I mean, I really like to take my time with making sure that everything was right. So, but my biggest thing, I would have had like the essentials. I would have had mattresses. I would have had couches ready to go. I would have had like silverware ready to go instead of wasting time while I'm losing money technically going and getting it.
What are some of the bigger advantages of having an LLC?
Signing for multiple units, that way you can scale faster. Tax incentives, everything that you buy is now a tax write off. You can, a whole lot more tax incentives. Um, and then just protecting yourself from, if you got sued from somebody who stayed at your property, they could sue you for everything you have, or they could sue the LLC for everything that they have. So it's nice to keep a divider between your professional life and your personal life. And that LLC stems as that little form of protection.
How long did it take you, and how long does it normally take to get an LLC?
A day, like not like a, from going, and you can just go on Google and type in how to get an LLC, and then you just sign
Wow.
everything up. It may take a couple of days, 1 or 2, 3, something along those lines. There's plenty of ways to do it. You just go to Google, type in how to get an LLC. There's LegalZoom, which is a good place to go. I personally did an accountant that I trusted, and she did everything for me. I paid her like $120, and she did everything for me. That way, I knew I was getting everything done right.
What are some of the most lucrative cities to start a B&B business?
Anywhere. There's obviously a very saturated markets. You want to find just markets that are not tapped into so heavily. And I'm finding that markets where people are tending to say, why would I go there, is a very good market to get into, because people think the same way. They're like, why would I go to? I'm from Louisville, right? And people are like, why would I go to Louisville, Kentucky? Why would an Airbnb in Louisville, Kentucky make more sense than one in Miami? Well, because
Mm.
there's thousands and thousands of listings in Miami. Your competition's far greater. There's a lot of travel happening everywhere as well too. Louisville's one of those places, and it's a mid-tier market. And so because people are not saying why would I go, why would because people are saying why would I go to Louisville, I kind of look at it as, why wouldn't I go to Louisville? Why wouldn't I go to this mountain town where there's only 200 listings, but there's a huge demand for travel? It's finding just these mid-tier, low-tier markets, because you need to think of Airbnb in a different light. Um, from not just really travel and vacation rental travel. Just it's Airbnb could be a many different things. It could be a family who just lost their house and they need a place to stay, and insurance is paying for that upcharge in rent for a furnished place. It could be people who are booking for a photo shoot, people who are booking for movie sets, people who are booking for just because they don't want to commit to a lease, and they want to be able to move whenever they want. There's tons of reasons to book an Airbnb that are not vacation related. So it doesn't really matter where you book it. I know people who have Airbnbs that are killing it in like just places that you've never heard of. So I mean, there's reason to get an Airbnb just damn near everywhere.
Gotcha. So how important would you say is money when it comes to this? Like when you're starting, how much money do you normally need to have, and how important is credit?
Credit's not as important as having the money to do it, but I mean, it's whatever's comfort you're comfortable with doing, right? Like having using a credit card responsibly that has an APR of like 0% for the first 12 months. That's great, because you get a little bit more time to cash flow a little bit, and then as time goes, you start paying it off gradually. Um, I'm a big advocate of just I'm a big advocate of just paying it. whatever, because the amount of money that it takes to get this up and running is so insignificant when it comes down to it, really, that what's dishing out $7,000? It's not that big of a deal for the potential that you can make. So I'm a big advocate of just like dishing out the money that you already have instead of using credit.
Mm. Okay, so let's say I have $500 to spare. Would that be enough to get started?
500?
Yeah.
No, that would
So,
not.
what would be the minimum to get started?
If you want a very basic place,
Mm.
I would say probably 4 to 5 thousand.
Okay. Okay, that's pretty affordable for most people, I'd say.
For most people, that's pretty affordable. And then if you want to go a little bit higher end, probably 8 to 9 thousand. But it depends on the size of the place that you get, right? So my first place was a 1 bedroom apartment. It was $6,800 total, everything included. I just signed 2 leases the past 2 weeks. They're both, one's a 3 bedroom, one's a 1 bedroom. The 3 bedroom is obviously going to be more cash intensive to get into because it's more bedrooms, it's more
Mhm.
living area. You got to decorate it more. You got to put stuff. You got to fill the space more as opposed to the 1 bedroom, right? And then as square foot goes, I'm working a deal right now where it's a 3 bedroom house in Cincinnati, Ohio, and that 3 bedroom house is a whole lot bigger than the 3 bedroom house in Lexington, Kentucky, where I got the other one. So even though they're both 3 bedrooms, one's significantly larger than the other, it's probably going to be another $3,000 extra than the one in Lexington.
Got you. So when you were homeless and jobless, what kept you striving for greater?
I've never strived for greatness. I
So,
don't. I don't do it. I just don't want to. I just don't sit still. So it's just one of those things, right? Where it's like business. It's when you start a business, here's your goal. Here's what you want to do, right? Here's the play. Here's the vision, at least. And what I've come to realize is that nothing goes as planned,
mm,
right? So I've already within my Airbnb business journey so far, I've had to pivot. It's been months, and I've had to pivot 100 different times to do different things because we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do that. This isn't legal. This isn't legal. How are we going to get around it? What are we going to do to go through it? How are we going to? Okay, this isn't. We're really not going to be able to do this, so we're going to have to change to this. And so it's the same thing as far as like your life, the way you just live your life. My whole life, I envisioned of being an actor and a writer in Hollywood. It didn't work out the way I envisioned it. Okay, or are we just gonna fucking give up, or are we gonna do something? Are we gonna figure something else out? Life is about figuring it out. So it's just finding stuff that you could potentially be passionate about. I've worked jobs that I hate, and I would rather fail time and time again trying to explore a different avenue that I feel like I could be really passionate about than to do a job every single day that makes me miserable and makes me hate my life. You know what I'm saying? So there's never been a strive for greatness. I couldn't care less if I'm great or not. You know, my whole thing is this didn't work out. What else can we do that I might like?
what are some of the best ways to try to live a fulfilled life?
Hmm. Doing whatever you want. Like doing whatever you want. Like if you are I have found that if you are doing whatever you want constructively, by the way, not like going out murdering people and stuff like that. Don't do that. But like if you are living the life that you want in the fashion that you actually want to live it, you'll be fine. I've noticed in my entrepreneurship journey that even though I'm living this, quote unquote free lifestyle where I'm not working an office 9 to 5 job every day and going to the same place every day. I've noticed a big tick in anxiety, mainly when I'm not doing the stuff that I know I need to be doing. When I
Mm,
when I'm not taking care of business, because when you have the entrepreneurship lifestyle, you don't have a boss over your shoulder telling you to do work. You got to be disciplined and do it yourself. So I've noticed that when I'm doing the work, when I'm doing the things that I need to do, I am not anxious. I am not worried because I know that I'm actively building something constructive and positive for what I want to do. So living a fulfilled life is just all about doing the work that you want to do, and you'll be good.
so on the days where you don't want to do the things that you know you're supposed to be doing, how do you still manage to figure it out and do it anyway?
I haven't figured it out. There's days where I don't do it.
Mm.
You know, there's days where I don't do it. I'm not a perfect guy. I'm not a business mogul guy where I'm like I push through the days where I don't want to. I don't fucking do that. I don't. I'm like I don't feel like working today, so I'm not gonna work. But that's the thing right there is when I do that, I feel really guilty. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, I should have just done it. So I've learned like, hey, maybe I should just start doing it, but I'm still not there yet. Right? But I have noticed like if I do it, I do feel a whole lot better. It's like working out. No one wants to go to the gym and work out, but when you do, after you get finished with your workout, you're always happy that you did it. When you eat that piece of chocolate cake and that pizza at the same time, you feel a whole lot worse than if you ate
At
that
the same
chicken
time.
and carrot. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like it's all about when you do the right thing. When you do the right things, it's all you feel a whole lot better.
Mm.
And there's no getting around that fact of life. It is what it is. That's serious. It's true.
How do you gain some consistency with that, or you haven't figured out that one either?
I'm the least consistent person you'll ever meet in your life.
So how often, out of the 7 days in a week, how many days would you say, okay, like you're doing what you're supposed to do probably out of those days?
Every day.
Every
Every
day.
day I do something that I'm supposed to do. But it's just there's some days where I do a significant amount less
Mm-hmm.
than what I need to be doing. So like I actually have an email that I need to send a guy. It's a quick text. It's a quick text to this guy, but it's bad news, right? I have to give the guy bad news. I should have just told him at 9 o'clock this morning. It's 4:30 now. Haven't told him. And it's been just sitting in my chest, sitting in my head that I haven't done it. If I just did it at 9 o'clock, I wouldn't even be thinking about it right now. But I am. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's like stuff like that where I just try to procrastinate on the things that I don't want to do, and that's the thing that steamrolls.
Mm. So what would you say is your end goal with all of this?
My end goal?
Haven't thought that far ahead?
Oh no, I've totally thought that far ahead. The end goal is I don't want to I want to automate my business to a point where I'm very hands off and I have that money rolling in, so I can go and do other things. Because like I said, like I'm not a consistent person, and like you alluded to at the beginning of this, you've already lived like you had like three different career paths, and you're 27 years old, correct? I want to do a lot of different things
Mm. What
because
the?
I get bored really easy, and so this Airbnb stuff is a really good opportunity for me to build something big where money can steamroll in consistently that I don't have to do much for, so I can go and do the other things that I want to do. And some of the other things that I want to walk across the country. I want to
Walk?
write. I
Crazy.
want.
That's
I want
impossible.
to. No, it's not.
You'd have to take breaks though, right?
Yeah, I'm not walking across the country in one day.
Okay.
It'll probably be like a 6 7 month process, you know. And so I want to walk across the country. I want to write a book. I want to write a TV series. I want to write. I want to do that. I want to be like a keynote speaker. I want to build a
Mm.
cleaning company. I want to build. I want to be able to donate money to charities that I care about. I want to be able to like revitalize the cities that I care about. I want to be able to do good things, right? And you can't do that unless you have a consistent flow of money coming in from different things. So it's all about being patient, staying the course, and building one thing at a time that can sustain you enough to go and tackle everything else that you want to do. And so with me, I mean, I want to do a lot of different things. I don't want to build. I feel like there's a big disconnect between the people who succeed and who don't. And I think the people who don't succeed are the ones who want to build a business so they can be hands off, so they can do nothing.
Mm.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And if it works, it works. Good for you. But money is supposed to be a tool to go and do great things, to go and do positive, constructive things. I don't ever want to get to a point where I'm sitting on the couch doing nothing. That's boring, and that's not out there. That's boring, and I would hate life, right? I want to build a means to be able to go and make positive impacts in my community. That's the ultimate goal.
Got you. Wow. So you are trying to change the world. I like that.
Not necessarily change the world, man. It's just a there I see one of the things that comes with being a good Airbnb host is being able to and real estate development and all that stuff is being able to see potential in people, being able to see potential in things. And so when somebody's look, I actually had a conversation with a really famous architect yesterday in Louisville, and me and him really got off on a good note because we both were talking about the same thing, and it's talking about these buildings that he's developed. This man has developed $1 million buildings
Mm.
that he's
I'd love to get him on the pod.
bought for $1, for $5,000, for $17,000. And I'm like, what happened? How'd you do? He was like, nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted this building. I bought this building because the health department was going to tear this building down if no one bought it. I bought it for $1, sunk $17 million into what it is now. You know, he said, because I saw this building that everybody was like, this building is a health hazard, and I saw what could be made out of it. And these are some of the most famous buildings in Louisville that he's made that nobody else wanted. And so I was like, man, like me and you were thinking the same way. That's what I would love to do. I would love to look at these, because I see these areas of my city where I'm like, there's no reason that should be performing financially the way that it's performing. It should be skyrocketing, yet it's losing money. That shouldn't be the case. And so I want to be a person that takes my city, which is Louisville, Kentucky. I want to be a person that takes my city and just puts it on the fucking map, where it's a place where people from all over the world would like, bro, like we got to go to Louisville and see this. You know, that's what I would love to do.
Are you a fan of
because in turn that's good for everybody, right? You know, it's great for everybody. It's great for the economy. It's great for the housing market. It's great for so many different people when you start doing things like that. And that would be something that would be really cool to do.
Are you a fan of Jack Harlow?
I love Jack Harlow. I'm actively trying to find a way to get in touch with him to do something with the city. I think he would be a really good resource to tap into for the city and have his face on it, because Jack Harlow is revitalizing the city that he loves, and I'll just be in the background doing everything else that he doesn't have the time to do. I would love that.
Yeah, definitely. So how many properties do you think it would take for you to start doing the kind of things that you really want to do with your money?
Well, technically I could start doing everything now.
Okay.
It's all it takes is a few good relationships, a few with the right people, the right money men, and the right opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like all it takes is a little relationship building and, you know, networking. If I wanted to do it with my own money, I would probably say I would have to have at least 100 really well producing properties every month. Because if I had 100 properties that are bringing me anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a month, you know, do the math of what that's bringing in every month. You know,
200K, yeah.
You know, that's pretty good a month. So if I could get to a point where I'm doing that every single month, I'll go fund it myself. You know?
So have the women poured in expeditiously since your increased fame?
No. No, not at all. Not at all. I thought buying a Tesla would do that, but it hasn't.
Oh, you got a Tesla, nice.
I got a Tesla now, yeah, and I feel a whole lot better driving it than my old fucking F-150 pickup from 2002. But no, women have not poured in. I don't want them to. It's going to be a distraction for me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. I'm a very one-tracked mind for a very short period of time. There may come a time where I get very bored with Airbnb. You know, and want to go do something else. But that's why I'm saying, like, it's good to build that up to where if I do end up getting bored with it, I have that money coming in. I'll have somebody else run it for me. I can go do something else. But if I got into the relationship aspect of life with women, it would be all about them. It wouldn't be about building a business. It wouldn't be about building a community that thrives. It would be about them. And I don't want that right now. I want to be able to take care of what I need to take care of first, and then go worry about that type of stuff.
Got it. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.